This may be the craziest story in the galaxy. Former Air Force intel official David Grush telling lawmakers on Wednesday the government has possession of extraterrestrials. You don't believe me? Watch for yourself.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
So aliens are apparently here. What do we do now? I think we should throw them a little bit of a potluck. Let's get into it with our panel. We've got former Biden campaign surrogate and my sexy boyfriend, Kevin Walling. We've got comedian, the great Veronica Mosey. She is right here. She's ruse and she's gorgeous. Along with another comedian, Berg. Yes, party people in the place to be. I will start with you. What is scarier to you, Kevin? You know, it's like I'm watching.
I'm a Democrat. Everything is scary to me.
Absolutely. Oh, no, nothing to see here. This is great. Yeah, Joe Biden's super young. I'm watching this because I have believed in technology and aliens being here for a long, long time, as long as I can remember. So what's scarier, that there's a bunch of people in government just making stuff up, or that they're really here?
To your point, I think both are scary, right? So we had 3 really serious intelligence, military folks that have to pass super background checks to have that position. So if they're lying under oath, that's a problem from a national security perspective. And then on the flip side, if they're telling the truth, that might be even scarier to have these biologics, as they call, piloting this spacecraft around the world. And
now we are hearing that there's this whole reverse engineering going on. So are they going to sell it to corporate sponsors? Like, will you have a Tic Tac Tesla in the next year? I would love to zoom. You know, it's like we were promised the Jetsons, and like the flying Tic Tacs are the closest we've come so far.
Sign me up.
I think it's interesting, first of all, what the heck biologics are. I don't know. I've never heard. It sounds like a good shampoo, right? It really does.
But it would be with an X.
Try biologics.
Biologics. Do you have dandruff or psoriasis? It might give you lymphoma.
But this guy, Grush, it's so interesting to me. We're basically, he's got a guy who knows a guy who heard some things. And if that's not enough to prove that there are aliens,
I mean, but he is an intelligence official who was given phenomenal clearance.
Exactly.
And there were certain things that he could not touch on unless they had a secure meeting room with just committee members and not.
Which he requested, too. He was like, I'll give you that confidential briefing.
Okay, so when do we go from UFOs to UAPs?
That's the new, very progressive term. They need to change it. And they were unidentified. They should really identify as something. I think that's very important.
In this day and age, if you don't identify as something.
Yeah, and here's my fear
about goddamn baby.
Aliens, if I can be antiquated in my terminology. They're very tall. They're 8 to 9 feet tall.
The Greys are tall.
I'm a short Kang.
Yeah, and they're probers.
I'm very worried.
Sign me up for that.
Speaking, you and I both.
Hey.
Speaking of space cadets, Harry and Meghan, who just want to be left alone, you guys, they may be moving closer to L.A. The New York Post reporting the royal couple has been secretly shopping for a place in Malibu, and they may leave Montecito. Seems like they've had enough drama with their neighbors after only a couple years, and they want to get closer to Hollywood. But will they be sought after by paparazzi? I mean, this is Malibu. This is where every famous person in the world has their second compound. They're not escaping anything. They're going.
No, they're seeking it out. I mean, they love to complain about privacy and protection and stuff like that. They love to seek this out. The most amazing thing is this more recent story about them wanting a ride back on Air Force One. Did you see this with President Biden from the Queen's funeral? And the Biden folks were like, that's
absolutely
a terrible idea.
That will make us look dumber than we are.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, the crack section's full with Hunter in the back.
Hey now. It's got to get high somehow.
I love how they always say they're acting like they secretly looking for real estate, right? See, they don't do anything in secret.
No.
Right?
And what's he wearing, a beard?
Yeah.
Like a
and he goes to the real estate agent, and she's like, we're not going to use your names. We're just going to say Duke and Duchess.
Very American accent. I would like to look at this property, please.
Yeah.
As someone that owns 4 properties in Malibu currently.
Wow.
I just think.
Oh, you sold several of them.
Yeah, but I mean, it's so, with the interest rates the way they are, not a good time to buy. They don't belong belong in California. They're outcast now. They need to go to Austin, Texas. They should be podcasting with Rogan.
Well, there's a new phenomenon known as loud quitting, when employees are fed up with their jobs and they want the whole world to know. It's called loud quitting. It's when an employee lights up their company like a Christmas tree on social media on their way out the door. It's leading this whole thing, circus leading up to their resignation. But are the days of employees quietly taking their hat and leaving now a thing of the past?
I mean, this is just a crazy story. Another thing with like Gen Z and millennials, like
Quiet quitting wasn't getting enough attention.
I know, right?
So now they have to go
shout
loud
it
quitting.
from the rooftops.
Sorry, what type of quitting is it?
It's loud quitting. Aaron! Ah!
Got it.
But this is what Harry and Meghan did. They loud quit.
Yeah.
They
They
loud quit
quit.
the monarchy.
And it didn't work out. No, it didn't.
People remember.
I've been trying to quietly quit my marriage for about 4 years now, and
Does your
I don't
husband
know.
know?
I just kind of
Or your wife?
You know,
I made a big
I
assumption
leave
there.
early.
Okay.
I come home late. You know, the boss doesn't really understand what's happening.
Loud quitting's the best. Do you remember loud quitting was invented by Jerry
Take
Maguire?
this job and
Yes.
shove it.
Sure.
Before Jerry
Who's coming
Maguire.
with me?
F
Yeah.
you,
Who's
F you,
coming
F
with
you,
me?
You're cool. F you.
Yeah.
What was that? We got to go back to those days too.
Yeah.
Loud quitting rules.
Yeah.
I think loud quitting that identifies as quiet quitting would be very funny. Like if you're cursing, but you're very quiet with your cursing. Like Samuel L. Jackson, Snakes on a Plane, but it's airing on cable. You know what I mean? You bleep it all out.
I've had enough of these mother effing snakes on this mother effing plane. Yeah, but I think that people are screwing themselves if they try and do this.
100%. Yeah.
Because you post this on social media, that's never going away. Like
not
the
gonna go
SEO person at the company you're leaving, they're going to make sure anytime your name is searched for on LinkedIn or wherever else, that pops up like, I've had it.
But no
Only
one,
do that if you win the lottery.
no one in New York, you're the only person that works in person in New York anymore.
Very
No one
lonely.
shows up to their jobs anymore since COVID, or as I like to call it, Joe Biden's campaign strategy happened. No one comes into the office anymore.
Believe me. But I'll tell you what, the snack basket, it's all mine, baby. Well, here's one way to lose your job and your friends. A 25-year-old nurse, Carly Russell, now admitting she was not kidnapped. The whole thing was a hoax. But here's what happened. Russell was driving on an Alabama interstate. She called 911. She said she saw a toddler walking alone on the side of the highway. Then she called a family member and was apparently abducted. After she pulled over, a massive search ensued. She showed up more than 2 days later saying, just kidding. There was no toddler. There was no kidnapping.